Welcome everybody to the KNIME Summit and the special interest session easily from SAP Data to Insights with KNIME. My name is Tobias Kötter and I'm working in product management at KNIME. And with me are 𝐂𝐨𝐧𝐧𝐞𝐜 and Christopher Schuler from Theobald Software, the leading experts in SAP integration. 𝐂𝐨𝐧𝐧𝐞𝐜 is responsible for pre-sales EMEA and Christoph for pre-sales in the US at Theobald Software. We started our partnership this year to provide our joint users with a seamless integration to easily access data in various SAP systems from within KNIME. And Christopher and 𝐂𝐨𝐧𝐧𝐞𝐜 will show you more details about it in the next 40 minutes. And with that, I want to thank you, Christopher and 𝐂𝐨𝐧𝐽𝐜, for being with us here today. And I'm looking forward to your presentation. So maybe you can also turn on your video briefly so that the people can see you, and then we can hit straight into the presentation, I would say.
Great. Thank you, Tobias, for the introduction. Hello, everyone. My name is Christoph Schuler with Theobald Software, located in the US. And I will be looking forward to walking you through our SAP solution today. And I'm joined today by 𝐂𝐨𝐧𝐽𝐜. You just saw him show up on the video. He will be walking you through a demo in a moment. So our session today will cover three main areas. I'll give a brief introduction about our company, Theobald Software, about who we are and how we help customers with their SAP data needs. We will then introduce one of our main products. It's called Xtract Universal, which is also available to KNIME customers and is the foundation for the KNIME connector for SAP that you will see later on in this demonstration. So with that, let me get started and introduce our company to you. Theobald Software has been around for just over 15 years. We were founded in 2004, and we're an ISV, a software vendor specializing in SAP integration. So we're not an SAP consulting company. We're really focused on the development and the marketing and support of ready-to-use SAP integration solutions. We've grown in these 15 plus years to about just over 3,000 SAP customers worldwide. And you see on the map on the right where we have customers today. We've sort of grown with the SAP market, first inside of Germany, then into Europe. But in the last decade or so, we've also seen a very good market share, both in the Americas as well as in Asia Pacific. We also partner, we have important technology partnerships with companies like SAP. We're a certified SAP partner. And as Tobias mentioned in the introduction, we also partner with companies like KNIME to make sure our products integrate very well into those types of environments. Today, we are represented in 4 geographies. Our company is headquartered in Stuttgart, Germany, and we have sales offices in Seattle, in the US, as well as in France and in Hong Kong to serve our customers in those regions. I'd like to share a few customer references with you. These customers are all SAP customers, and they're also Theobald Software customers. One thing these customers have in common is they all have a need for SAP data in other environments. And for these customers, this primarily involves access to their data in SAP ERP, or in many cases also access to SAP data in what is called SAP BW or Business Warehouse. So these are customers in all kinds of industries. We work with automotive, we work with retail, with oil and gas, with pharmaceutical companies. We're not focused on a certain vertical or type of industry. This also includes SAP customers of all sizes. Let me briefly explain why customers typically come to us when they're looking for an SAP solutions. At a very high level, I think this is true for every SAP customer. There is a need for SAP data outside of SAP. And a big driver for this is the area of BI and analytics, which is also what we're going to talk about today with our KNIME connector for SAP. So this is where companies need access to SAP data, bring that data into other environments to do further processing, transformation, and analysis on that SAP data. Oftentimes, it is also combined with other data from other systems that customers have. So this is a big driver for our business. We also work with companies that are involved in financial planning and consolidation, or that offer forecasting tools. The same requirement exists here, where companies need to pull data from your SAP ERP system to run through planning cycles, to run through forecasting cycles. And last but not least, we also are engaged in process automation for SAP. This is a little bit different from the BI and analytics solutions. Here we're talking about also updating SAP information, posting of a transaction or records in SAP, whereas BI and analytics is more about read-only, high-volume, real-time data access. And that's what we're going to talk about today. Now, when we talk to customers, many of our customers are still doing a lot of work inside of SAP, in SAP's own development environment, which is called ABAP. And when you think about the BI and analytics space, where you need a certain data set, where you need a report or maybe a dashboard that you want to eventually show to your users, if something needs to be changed on a report or a dashboard, and business requirements change all the time, for these customers, this cycle of going all the way back into SAP, opening up the code, the ABAP code, making the required modifications to maybe add a data element or something new to a report, has to start all over again. So many customers are sort of stuck in this continuous cycle where development has to happen. Development that is complex, that is also time-consuming, and therefore expensive. So we're trying to help customers with a solution that meets four main criteria that you see here. Number one, customers are looking for solutions that are reliable, performant, and that can scale to millions of records. There's a lot of data in SAP systems, in particular in SAP's system of record, the ERP system, SAP ECC or S/4HANA. The solution also has to be supported for the customer's SAP release or module. Our solutions, in the 15 years we've been doing this, go all the way back to early releases, even R3 of SAP, all the way to the latest HANA-based applications, S/4HANA or BW for HANA. The solution has to be secure and auditable, ideally certified by SAP and fully supported, not just by us, but also by SAP. And last but not least, our goal is to offer customers something that is cost-effective to acquire, but also to maintain over the number of years that they would use it. And customers today are more and more looking for solutions where they can see results within days, maybe weeks, but not months or years. So with that brief introduction about our company, let me introduce a typical analytics data flow involving your SAP landscape. If we look at the customer's SAP environments, it will likely look something that is shown on the bottom of the slide. Customers have a mix of different applications. There's usually always some kind of ERP system in the mix. Again, the current versions are SAP ECC. Maybe some customers are looking already towards S/4HANA, the latest release. But it could also involve a business warehouse environment, maybe SAP CRM, maybe SAP SRM, and so forth. Our tools are compatible with any SAP application that runs on the NetWeaver ABAP platform. So on top of this SAP landscape, we offer a standalone solution, which is called Xtract Universal. Xtract Universal runs on a standard Windows system, either on-premise or in the cloud. And it comes with a suite of data extractors or data connectors that you see shown here on this slide. There's 9 or 10 different connectors that we offer. And this is really the core of our product. This is our innovation, what we've developed, fine-tuned, and further enhanced over the years to offer the best data extraction capabilities from SAP that is available in the market. Some of these components have been around for some time. For instance, the table connector, which is very easy to configure. It's very performant for very large data sets. We have customers pulling hundreds of millions of records directly from SAP tables. Other components are newer, like the ODP component, the third component here from the left that you see here. 𝐿𝐻 and ODP both enable incremental or delta feeds from SAP systems. That is a requirement for most of our customers. They don't want to do full data replication, or they don't want to pull a full data set when they do analysis on SAP data. In many cases, it is sufficient to only bring in what has changed or what has been created in terms of the data since the last time I ran a data pool. And so these two components, 𝐿𝐻 and ODP, are intended for that. They both enable delta or incremental data feeds. We can connect to function modules and BAPIs in SAP, including customers' own developed functions. We connect to reports, or what are called ABAP list viewer reports, SAP's own query mechanism, or transaction SQ01. And the remaining 3 on the right are BW oriented. So for BW data pulls, we can connect to BEX cubes and InfoCube objects. We also can pull data through what's called the Open Hub Services interface from SAP. And because hierarchy data is modeled differently in BW, we have a specialized connector for that. So with these components, our aim is to support both full and incremental data feeds from SAP, regardless of where your data lives or regardless in what shape or form it is in. Once we extract the data, then with our tool, we can make it available in the KNIME environment. And my colleague Coder will show you a demonstration of that in a minute. This is a direct data feed from the SAP source through our extraction tool into KNIME. And one important thing to know is that we connect to SAP just like an end user would. So we operate in the context of an SAP user, which also means the security context or the permissions that the user has in SAP. And we pass the data straight into the KNIME component, into the node inside of KNIME. And there's no interim data caching or data storage. There's no database underneath Xtract Universal. So it's a direct live feed from your SAP system into the KNIME environment. Now, for customers that prefer to have an interim data store before they do further analysis in KNIME, we also have the option with Xtract Universal to go into other data storage and data service environments. So there's a total of 20+ destinations that we support today in our Xtract Universal service. So you can go directly into KNIME, but you could also go into a database or a cloud storage service and then pull the data from there to do analytics inside of KNIME. So today, we focus on the direct KNIME integration. And you can also automate this process. So you can use a scheduling tool or scripts, different mechanisms to establish a continuous data feed And this could be in short intervals. We have customers that refresh the data every 20 minutes or 30 minutes. Other data feeds may refresh on a daily or weekly basis, depending on what your requirements are. So with that, I will turn it over to my colleague Coder, who will give you a demonstration of the KNIME connector for SAP.
Thank you, Christoph, so far. I would start here with the live demo. I hope you see my screen. So I'm starting here our Xtract Universal designer. So that's the first component that we have where we connect to the server. In my case, that's running here on localhost. So with the designer, I connect. Okay, let me open it here. So now I have here the designer, as you see. In the designer, at first you would see some extractions that you have defined. In general, you would start with defining here your connection. The first connection that you need is always to your source SAP system. So you would define that here, as you see. Here you would define your SAP connection. You can...
Coder, sorry, but we only see your desktop, so we don't see the shared window or something. So we only see a girl running around the beach, but nothing else.
Okay. And now?
That's better. Yeah, perfect.
Okay.
Thanks.
Okay, perfect. So I'm here in the designer, and in the designer, again, you can define your SAP connection. So here you see a list of some SAP connections that I have defined. For example, you can define a connection to your ERP system, to your BW system, to your S4HANA, BW for HANA, and so forth. So let me show you here a connection. For example, this one here to an ECC system, for example. And you see here the connection is successful. So that means I can use that as a source system and extract data from the EC system. Here the same is for the SAP Business Warehouse system. And again, here I can check the connection and that's successful. So that's fine. On the first side, now I have my connection to the source system that I would use it. And then I can define here an extraction on my source system. So here I can select the source system at first. I would use here my ERP system, and I would define here a name for my extraction. I would extract SAP customers, for example. Yeah. So I define here the name, and now I have here the different components or different connectors that Christoph have talked about. So you can see I can, for example, extract customer data from a table or from a view from the SAP system, but also I have other options. So in this case, I would just use here the table component for that. Okay, let's click on connect and okay. And now I can define which table I would like to have in SAP. So I can search either for the SAP technical table name, in this case, for example, for this one, or I can search, as you see here, for a description. That would be fine. In my case, for example, I would select this table here that contains customer master data in general. So now I can click here on OK, and now I get the metadata of the table. So I see which fields, which columns are available. I get some information. So for example, here in this case, all the columns are selected. I can just select some of them, as you see. I have here some information, for example, which columns are part of the keys or part of the index. I can search here for column name. I can search here for the column description, for example. So let's see, for example, if I'd like to have city coordinates, I can search for that. And we have here further possibilities, for example, to aggregate data or to make any conversion on the values. Okay, so I have selected here some colors. You see that here in the preview. I can make a live preview, as you see, of my data. That's fine. I can check the number of rows. So I have about 8,000 or 9,000 rows in my demo system. That's fine. For example, here you see this field here for the country or the country code. So I have US, I have DE for Germany, and so far I can make a filter on that. So for example, in this case, I would say that is here the country code and just set that to US, for example. Again here, live preview, and you see now only US customers are shown. And I can again check the number of rows, that's fine. So here the value of the filter has been here set manually. I can do that dynamically later. When I call the extraction, I can override that value. That would be possible. And here I can also add in a second table and join the tables dynamically insofar as that's possible. Think about joining master data from different tables, or joining a master table with some text table where you have some description, or maybe you have some tables in SAP where one table has some headers and the other table has the positions and so far. That's all possible scenarios. Okay, so that was the first case where I can define here my my extraction. So you see that was here the name, demo SAP customer. It's a table. I'm connected with this source system, and the default destination is, as you see here, and it's a web service in CSV format. I can also here run that directly in the browser. So that is here my browser. Okay, as you see now, that is here the web service. That's the name of my extraction, and I have here a preview of that data in the browser directly. Yeah? And using here the same technology in KNIME, then we can access that data. Let me show you that here. In KNIME, I have here a KNIME server, a KNIME environment where Xtract Universal is installed. So let me copy here the URL, and here you see the list again, the list of all the extractions. And when you are here in KNIME, you should have here a node that's called SAP Reader. Yeah, and just with drag and drop and configure that, you can define the URL where our Xtract Universal server is running. So that is here the URL. That's all what you need. And now you can just click here on fetch queries, and then you would see all the extractions that are defined in Xtract Universal and that have the destination web service that can be understood by KNIME. Yeah? So that's all actually. And then now here you can just select it and say, okay. And after that, you just run it and you would get here the result as you have seen in the browser. I have some minutes, so I would like to show you another possibility in Xtract Universal. So you are able not only to extract data from ECC system and from a table, but you can do here the same. For example, if you access a business warehouse in SAP BW, that's possible too. And there, for example, let me here say sales query, for example. I would use here this component, where I can extract data from BW Cube or from BW query. And here again, I have to search. I can search for a query. I can search for a info cube. What is possible? Let me here search for a query. So let me select this one here. And when I select the query, so here on the left side, I have my key figures. So I can select which key figures I would like to extract. I can here select the dimension in my query. For example, let's select some dimensions here, the company code, the material, sales organization, sold to party, and so far, or this one here. Yeah? So now I have defined the columns that I would like to have in my result. If some filters are predefined in BW, so we have access to that. For example, here you see sales organization, I can here define value. So I can set here that directly, or I can do that dynamically later using the parameters that can be overridden during the execution of the extraction. And I have here further options. I can here set additional filters on each dimension, as you see. I can, for example, if the source object, the query or the cube is really big and I would like to extract that, so for example, millions rows and so far. So I have here further options to define a package size, to define slicing dimension, and so forth. That's all is possible. If you'd like to have some friendly names, that's also possible, as you see here. So again, here I can define and say, okay. So now, as you see here, again, my query is here defined. So I'm using this component here. I'm connected with the BW system, and that is here the default destination that can be understood and used by KNIME. And here again, I can run it and just see the result. Yeah. Okay, now we see here the result. And that's the same if I would like to combine that. Maybe I have two scenarios. In one scenario, I would like to have the data in KNIME. In another scenario, maybe I would like to push it into a database or in a cloud storage because that's another department or something like that. So that's possible too. And I can define that here in the destinations. So here in the destination, as you see, you have the list of all supported destinations. So default one, that is this one here. That is used by KNIME. And you see here the list of the other ones that include all, in general, all databases that are used in an enterprise projects and in companies, cloud storages, and so forth. That's all is supported and provided. Okay, that was so far from my side. Where I have showed you how you can work with Xtract Universal and a little bit here our node in KNIME. So sure, if you have more questions about the node and the usage in KNIME, we have here Tobias who can help us. And if you have questions about our company and our tool and so far, so Christoph and me are happy to answer your questions and to discuss that with you.
Okay, Coder.
Yep.
I'll switch
Thank
back
you.
to the slide deck.
Yeah, okay, perfect.
Okay, I have to see how I can share my screen. There we go.
Coder, can you unshare your screen then, Chris? Oh, no, it's changing. Perfect.
Okay, perfect. Good. So just a few slides to close out before we get into questions and answers. In summary, why work with us? This is a quote actually from one of our manufacturing companies that have worked with us for many years. So it's one of my favorite quotes where the person told us, you know, we like your solutions because they're number one, very affordable. And they really help me with my integrations in SAP and do exactly what I'm looking for. So a couple more points. We do provide proven, reliable SAP data and integration solutions. As mentioned earlier, we're trusted by over 3,000 SAP customers worldwide today. And I think it's also reflected in the team that we have, primarily at our headquarters in Stuttgart. For many of us, they work with SAP day in and day out. And I think that expertise and knowledge is reflected in the products that we have in the market. We're certified and we make a commitment to our customers to keep up to date with the latest SAP releases. So for those of you that are already looking towards S/4HANA or maybe a BW for HANA system, we are certified and we will continue to be certified for those latest innovations from SAP. We're not trying to replicate an ETL system or analytics platform. think of our tool really as an E&L tool for SAP data. We extract and we load or provision the data to where you can work with it, like you saw in Coder's demo, with environments like the KNIME platform. And we're trying to integrate as seamlessly as possible. So you can work in your familiar environment, also work with other data, non-SAP data, and allow our tool to help you bring that SAP data into the same environment. And this point I made earlier too, we believe we have a competitive offering in the market. We're priced competitively. And we also, the tool is very simple from an architecture point of view. So the learning curve is small, and we offer a solution that comes with a low total cost of ownership. In terms of next steps, please talk to your KNIME contacts about SAP connectivity. They know where to find us, and they can pull us into the conversation. We do offer free trial that you can use with your KNIME environment or for your KNIME solution. Also free and without commitment comes the support and guidance of our team to help you get started with your SAP data needs. So with that, let's go to any questions that you might have. Please type them in the box in your application.
Perfect. Thank you, Christoph and Koda. So we already have some questions here. So there's one question at the top, basically, which is, do I need any special setup in my SAP system to use Delta Q?
Koda, you want to take that?
Yeah, I can do that. Okay, so Delta Q is used in general to extract data incrementally or in Delta mode from the SAP systems. There is a successor for that. It's the ODP component that works with the new ECC version and with S4HANA. For Delta Q, yes, you need a customizing that must be done just one time on the on your ECC system, yeah, and that is well documented in our online help and our documentation. If you go with ODP, actually, it's much easier and a little bit faster, and you don't need any setup. Sure, you need just an SAP user, an authorization on the SAP side to be able to connect and to access the data and so far. But you have two options, Delta Q and ODP. So again, Delta Q, yes, one-time customizing on the SAP system. For ODP, no setup, no customizing.
Okay, and that leads maybe to one of the other questions that is asked more frequent is like, so when I access the SAP system, do I need a system user or can I use a standard user? Can I pass this through, or how does the authentication work?
Should I do that?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Yes. When you connect to the SAP system, you need an SAP user. It can be system user. It can be dialog user. Both is possible. In general, in production, you would use a system user, but a dialog user is possible. And sure, that user needs some access rights, and that access rights are depending on the source object that you would like to use. We have about 10 of components, and with that components, you can extract tens of different source objects. Yeah. So you need, depending on the source object, for example, when you extract table, you need other access rights as when you extract data from BW cubes or queries. And that all is well defined in our online help. Yeah. You can do that. And sure, if you would like to set the user dynamically, that's possible from KNIME. We have worked on that, and we can support you with that.
Okay, maybe there are two questions that I can take on. So one is the KNIME Node commercial or free? So the KNIME Node is free, so you can download it and use it. But as we already said, you need then the commercial Theobald Xtract Universal software for using that. And then there's one other that I can take is that can I use parameters in the queries, for example, to extract only data for a certain time frame from within KNIME? Yes, you can certainly do that. So you can specify the parameters in an Xtract Universal Designer, and then in KNIME you can query these parameters, the list of all the parameters, and then can set values for them to do exactly that. And then there's also the question regarding the licensing model and pricing of Xtract Universal. I don't know if you want to say something about that, or
maybe I can talk to that. It's pretty straightforward. It's per server, meaning the server you install Xtract Universal on. For most customers, that means one server, unless they have a strict separation between development, QA, production. But you're certainly, you can start with one server. And then there's no limit in terms of how many extracts you run from KNIME, how many connections you make, or how many connected SAP systems you have. It's pretty straightforward. You need one license for your server. And then if you would use the tool to also send data to other environments other than KNIME, let's say if you want to go into a SQL Server data store or something, there's an additional one-time fee for what is called a destination add-on. And we're happy to send you pricing information on that.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so if you want to know more details, then just contact Koda or Christoph. You can do that also via the online meeting tool that we use here. Okay, do I need to set up anything special within my SAP system to work with Xtract Universal, or do I need a special SAP licensee to do that? Can you give a quick answer to that?
Yeah, the quick answer is we try to do as much outside of SAP as possible. And we try to be as low touch in SAP as possible. Two of our components, in particular table and report, ALV reports, require a function module that we deliver with the tool as a transport. Table you could do without, but you get the best performance and reliability by putting that transport into your SAP system. All the others, like Coder mentioned, ODP, which is a really a very powerful data source that supports Delta, works out of the box. No installation, no configuration in SAP needed.
Okay, cool.
The second part of the question was, I forgot now, that was...
SAP licensing.
Yeah, like for SAP HANA, I think when you go via JDBC, you need special licenses. Is that also the case for your tool? If I access SAP HANA queries, that's another query here.
Yes, every SAP access in our tool happens at the application layer in the context of an SAP user, meaning there is no special database license that applies to our tool, not with our technology.
Perfect. And then there's the last question, which I think we can take on quickly. So what is the recommended application landscape? I presume that in productive end, the extractor needs to run on a dedicated server. Then how to provide access for data scientists to a remote desktop, a dedicated client application? How about authorization and roles? I think that refers then to the query designing and these kind of things, because I mean, from you can access then, or you can execute the queries from within KNIME, and then wherever KNIME is running, that server or machine needs to have access to the machine where the Xtract Universal client is running, or the Xtract Universal server is running on. How do you usually do that with the designer, or is that then usually something that the administrator set up basically, or how is that usually going?
Yes, exactly. So recommendation is install Xtract Universal on a dedicated server. Can be in the cloud, can be on-prem. Standard Windows system will do, nothing high-end or anything required. And then you don't need to RDP. Let's say if you want to put this into Amazon or Azure, you don't need RDP. We have a client. The client that you saw that Coder showed, the front end, you just install that on your desktop and then make a remote connection to that server.
Awesome. Okay, cool. So I think we are all through all the questions, and we are almost right on time. So thank you. Thanks a lot for the presentation, Coder and Christoph. Thank you all for attending the special session here, and I hope you enjoy the summit, and yeah, see you around. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.